Do you want peace in the Middle East, specifically in Israel? If so, what are you willing to do? And I'm not talking to the voyeurs watching whatever from YouTube. I'm talking about the people who live there. What are you willing to do? Are you willing to let go of your hate, of your hurt, of your grievances, of the borders, of your need for control, for safety, for being right? How painful does it need to get before you give up? Not to some enemy, but to God. What does God want from us in these times? So many people in Israel-Palestine believe in God and have God as a reference point. But what is God asking of us in these times, in this situation? I don't think we can look into our old um, books, the Torah or the Quran, and find the answer. We might get hints of it, but the answer is actually to be found in the living God right here, right now. Do you think it's a mistake that God gave us the land of Israel but happened to put Palestinians there as well? Or from the Palestinian perspective, that there's Jews there? I like to propose that it's not a mistake. I like to propose that this is what God is wanting of us. And it's not because God's wanting us to be violent, harsh, and cruel to other humans, because that's what the idea entails of having a Jew only Jewish state or having an only Palestinian state. Both camps are bit in a fantasy land. They don't want to do these horrible things that those beliefs entail, but yet they would just love the Palestinians to disappear or love the Jews to just disappear. So Palestine can be free from river to sea. But that's not what we've been given to work with. That's not what we're being asked. We're being asked to raise to a higher love. We're being asked to encompass our sense of peoplehood to a bigger extent so that our neighbors are not just Jews, other Jews, but actually our brothers, our cousins, the Palestinians. I don't think it's helpful to get too caught up in the history. We can get some references point for sure, but to get caught up in what he did, what they should have done, why they deserve this or that, why, is very small. And it doesn't address the main point, which is that these are human beings we're talking about. And these are human beings that are not responsible for what their grandparents did, but are under the effect of what they did. These are human beings that deserve the same right, the same dignity, the same possibilities that we deserve as human beings. Yes, I am Jewish. And I have a particular understanding and a connection, you could say, perhaps even attachment to the idea of Jews being in Israel. It feels right to me. I have an ancient memory of that. But I also know that throughout all times, Jews have not just been the only custodians of the land, they have been there with many other people. And that in these times, we're being asked to include the Palestinians, include all of humanity in our umbrella of love. Isaiah speaks many times in other places in the Bible talk about Jerusalem being a city of peace, that all people shall pray there, that the Jews would be a light to the nations. So, what does that look like to be a light to the nations? Because if we're not able to be holy people in a holy land, perhaps we better just go to New York or LA. What is the purpose? What is the justification of Israel unless it be true to the gift that was given historically and biblically? We know from the Bible that the Jews did not get Israel unconditionally. It was conditional on their merit, on their following God. So, what does that look like in these times? Otherwise, according to the Bible, we will be kicked out of the land once again. And this is a dangerous time we're coming to. And we see the cycle of violence and hate and hurt going more and more. So, at what point do we stop and say, wait a minute, this is not what we are wanting? This is not what the Holy Land is calling for. At what point will we have the courage to stop and ask, well, what is really holy in these times? What does God want? Why why will we send missiles to Iran? Why can't we let it be? Is it going to make things better? Why are we bombing Hamas? Do you really believe that terrorists will be killed and not more created? Because I speak here not just the Jew, but as a human, and it deeply hurts me what we are doing in the justification of safety and preserving ourselves to other humans. And the only way we can continue doing that is by shutting ourselves off from other humans and creating big walls. But do you not think that we will be affected inwardly, spiritually, morally from what people are having to deal with because of our big walls just a few miles away, because of their hate and anger sent towards us, because we have not taken their feelings and their interests in account in our creation of a Jewish state? Again, I don't want to spin wheels going into the past. People have a lot of different versions of it, different narratives, different ideas. I'm not into demonizing anyone. I believe we're all just humans suffering sometimes from the actions of our ancestors, of our parents and grandparents. What I'm here for, what I'm really interested in, is how we could have peace now. At this point, I think most everyone has given up on the idea of a two-state solution. The borders are too convoluted, the area too small. What's left of the West Bank is not sustainable. And even then, there's a lot of Jewish attachment to sacred sites in what they call Judea and Samaria. And there's a lot of attachment that Palestinians rightly have to sites within Israel proper. So let's take down the borders. I believe in a one state solution. I know it sounds scary. I know there's a lot of healing to be done, a lot of restoration. But I believe that setting the structure up for a one state, a one largely democratic state. I say largely because it should be entrenched in the Constitution that this is a state of two people, Jewish Israelis and Palestinian Muslims, and that the power be shared equally, regardless of whether the percentage is 60% or 40% or whatever, and that there be areas of different jurisdiction, but that overall the same laws apply, the same rights for dignity, for safety. I believe that just like in Israel proper now, where the Arabs are invested in continuing living in peace, I believe that the Palestinians included will be way safer than the Palestinians excluded. I believe we have to take responsibility for Gaza and all these places. I believe we have to offer the law of return to the Palestinians as well as the Jews. And one requirement for this solution to take place is the cooperation of all these other countries that say so many times that they want peace in Israel. So they need to play their part. America, Europe, the Middle East. And one thing that is required of them is opening their borders. This is a very crowded land. A lot of people, Palestinians and Jews, have different connections in different countries. People have to want to live together and create a holy land together. For those who don't, whatever the reasons, they need to go elsewhere, and they will want to go elsewhere. If you're a fundamentalist Muslim and it just doesn't work for you to live with Jews in a democratic society, go to another Middle Eastern Arab country that suits your purposes better. If you're a Jew or a Palestinian who just wants to live the good life and be secular and not have the hardships that the land offers, then go to Berlin or go to LA. Those should be options too. And in that in that situation, the land will find its balance. The people who are invested to stay and want to work together and are committed to that will stay. And the land will be a holy land. And the people ultimately will say, I am so glad to be living in this land. I feel more empowered, more God connected, more in peace from having surmounted this obstacle and opened my heart to my brothers and sisters than if I hadn't. This is what I wish for Israel. Thank you.